So let's discuss this and more. Our political commentators are back: Angela Rye, Hillary Rosen, and Amanda Carpenter. Good to see all of you again. So look, if we don't, Angela, if we don't discuss now what has been happening in the country over the past 5 years, really, and over, the past 2 weeks, when are we going to discuss it? I mean, the president explicitly calling out white supremacy this afternoon. That's not something that you usually hear in an inaugural address. Important.
Yeah, it is important, but I think what's even more important is getting past the discussion and resisting the urge, I think, as Amanda said so eloquently earlier, to rush to the healing and forget how we got to the brokenness, the fact that this country was built upon the brokenness. I can't help but to reflect on the fact that on the same day that the first Black person and the first woman was sworn in to be the vice president of these United States was also the same day that Hiram Revels, who was the first Black person elected to Congress, to the United States Senate in Mississippi in 1870, was also, also became a U.S. Senator. And what happened with him is there were white supremacists who fought the validity of his election because they questioned his citizenship. So these are things that are rooted in the foundation of this country. And I bring it up not to say that we're in the same place that we were in 1870, but Don, we're not so far. And if we continue to build up pride about the fact that, we've come so far, and remember when Barack Obama was elected, all of a sudden we were post-racial, right? All of these things, we have come far, but we've not come far enough. And if we don't reckon with that, if we don't deal with that, we cannot get to healing. And I appreciate what Joe Biden had to say, right? Like, given whose shoes he's following, he's talking about standing in somebody's shoes. He's talking about standing in someone's shoes who could not bear to be at his inauguration. Right? So to have to repair all of that damage, I understand the position he's in, but woe unto us if we follow the exact same steps that we were in, even with Barack Obama. I remember so many of us thinking that George W. Bush was the worst it could get. And then we got Donald Trump. So we will find ourselves in the same exact position in 4 years if we don't really deal with the fact that there are people grieving all over this country because they lost loved ones in a very preventable way to COVID. If we don't deal with the fact that George Floyd said he can't breathe, just like Eric Garner said he can't breathe. We have to deal with the repetitive nature of the brokenness in this country and the fact that it will continue to resurface if we brush over it.
Hillary, listen, I think Angela brings up a very good point where she said he's following in the footsteps of a person who couldn't even stand to be at his inauguration. Why couldn't he? Because he claimed that the election was stolen. Who stole it? Black people in large Black cities and populations in urban areas. So, I mean, that's not a dog whistle, right?
Right. And let's be clear, that's exactly what they think.
Yeah. So Biden, listen, it's one thing for him to call out white supremacy, but again, as Angela said, what can he actually do about it as president? Go on, Hillary.
Well, look, I appreciate Joe Biden's desire to be the president for all Americans. But look, some Americans deserve right now to be at the front of the line. Like, Black people deserve to be at the front of the line. Frontline workers and the people who've been keeping our economy alive and delivering our food and taking care of our communities while we've been home, they deserve to be at the front of the line. Every single job that was lost last month was lost by a low-income woman, a majority of them women of color. They deserve to be at the front of the line. So I think that while we want President Biden to unify and be everybody's president, there's got to be a recognition that some people deserve more right now and need more right now. And there are things that the government can do, not just by example, but actually by policy to help.
Amanda, how do you think what Hillary just said is going to go over with the, this administration is not looking out for you. They're trying to silence you. You know what I'm talking about. They're trying to lump you all in as white supremacists. They're not looking out for the real American? How do you think that's going to go over with that crowd, what Hillary just said, even though a lot of it rings true? All of it rings true as to what she said.
Yeah, well, first, I'd be remiss not to acknowledge Angela's praise she's given me. I don't deserve it, Angela. I appreciate it. I don't deserve it. The things I've said is literally the least I can do. But I think we have to reflect on this idea of unity that Joe Biden is pushing, rightfully so. Our nation needs it, and how bad actors are trying to disqualify that term. I've seen a lot of people say, oh, well, if Joe Biden wants unity, he shouldn't talk about things that make me uncomfortable, right? Like, don't talk about right-wing terrorism. Don't talk about white supremacy if you want unity. Don't talk about a minimum wage hike if you want unity. And the agreement about unity is that we are united on basic values. Things like every vote counts. Things like a president won't engage in 24/7 character assassination. That we won't constantly question each other's motives and engage in the politics of personal destruction. That's what unity means. We can debate policy, but if we want unity, we have to stare into the heart of the Capitol and see what happened. I don't know how we can look away from that. I mean, yes, I remember this discussions back in like 2009 when I think Janet Napolitano was at DHS, and she was trying to, someone there was trying to raise an alert about the rise of lone wolf, right-wing extremists. And a lot of conservatives,
she had to
I think
retract
including
it and
myself,
even
took that
apologize
personally.
in some ways. But go on,
Yes, yes, saying
She
you're
did.
attacking veterans and you can't do this. And they were right. It has been on the slow burn. And so once you see facts that change reality, once it's staring at you in the face, I don't think you can look away. And if that makes people uncomfortable, so be it.
Yeah. All right, guys, I have to run. Thank you all. I appreciate it.